Okay, today we're going to talk about hot press versus cold press. On my right, Arches hot press paper, 100% pure cotton. On my left, Arches cold press paper, 100% pure cotton, and the differences and what is good and bad about both. So again, on my right, hot press, on cold press. What you notice instantly with the hot press is it's more smooth. There's no ridges. With the cold press, you have lots of ridges. And it has like a, I don't know, like a cottony kind of, you can feel like the cotton surface. This one's just smooth. And as you paint it on each one of them, the application is just a little different. I used to be all hot press. I loved hot press, hot press, hot press, hot press. And then I was frustrated with the cold press, but then I just kept on. Excuse me, my dog is barking. Sorry, I had to come back to that. My dog barks anytime he sees an animal on the TV, and I have to train him to stop it. It's out of control. Back to the hot press, cold press. So, like I said, I was a huge fan of this paper as opposed to this paper. I couldn't stand the cold press Arches cotton paper until I kept on using it and kept on using it. So, you know, things take time to change, and then I realized, wow, so much better for me. So let's just paint some simple flowers on each of them and see if you can see the difference. I'm going to just grab, let's see, I'll grab this paintbrush. I'm going to grab the Princeton Long Round number 8. And I got some paints over here, some violets. I've been working a lot with violets lately, so let's just continue with that. And then we make some simple roses on this paper. Remember I show you how you make just little lines here, going around just like that. And then you can grab the water. So this paper is still thirsty, like the cold press. It's just, it doesn't have that texture. Let me zoom in a little bit. It just has a different kind of texture. And we'll paint that same rose on the cold press. Now, I don't know if you noticed right away, maybe it's the paint that's too much on my brush. But I will show you this. Now, the difference. You see, when you get close, you get those little ridges. If you miss that part, it has this nice weird textural to it. And this one, it's just flat. You're not going to get those ridges that are going to create those little textural lines. Let's keep continuing and see the difference even more. We'll add a tulip. Some of the flowers that I showed in my last tutorial. It's still puddles. Doesn't bleed quite. It bleeds, but doesn't bleed quite like the other one. So here I'm putting in a simple tulip. Put a simple tulip over here. Right away I notice how the cold press really soaks up that paint. And that was the thing that really bothered me in the beginning, because I felt like I couldn't play around with it enough. And the hot press is kind of, see how it's still staying puddled like that? And this one's just soaking it right in. Just soaking it right up, like a mop, sponge. And this one's still laying there. It's still there. You can move it around a little more. It's still there. That's kind of the big difference too. I know some artists that I don't think they even work with, oh, maybe they do work with cold press, but some great artists on Instagram, like Kelly Ventura, she does all hot press, but that's her style. And I see the difference. See, I'm moving that paint around and it started to have like, if you overwork the paper too much, it starts to bead up like kind of get destroyed a little bit, and you can kind of see that here, and then just soaked it right in here. Look at that. The color, sorry, the color difference. So let's continue. Let's do put some greenery in here. I still like the hot press. It's still a great paper. It just works differently. It reminds me of Yupo paper. Now that one is a funky paper to try. Yupo, you use like acrylic and watercolor on. And it's like a plastic paper. So look at that. That's just really soaking up the color, the cold press. Let me zoom back out. There we go. It's really soaking up the color. It's more vibrant, I feel, than the two, because my lighting is terrible. Excuse me. It's a sunny day out, the studio, it's messing with the lighting. I would normally bring it upstairs to my other little area, but we are cleaning it up for a party today. So, lighter, darker. Notice the two. We'll continue with the greenery. I'm going to try and keep the paint the exact same color on both so you can see the difference. Mixing up some hooker's green with a little burnt umber. Getting a lot of paint so I can do both. All right, here's the leaf. It's still, look at that. The water's still there. And let's try it over here. Water's like not even close to being there, like that one. See that? Do you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Zoom in. See the water still beating there, and the water's gone there. One just soaks up more than the other. So it's kind of like you can play around with the hot press a little longer with the water. But when the color actually finishes drying, the consistency is different. This is much flatter than this one. But if you like that look, that works too. And also the bleed can be different. And so you're seeing the ridges of the bleed in here. And the bleed is pretty flat here. You're not getting those ridges. Some people want those ridges. They like the way that looks. It's all preference. It's just a different type of paper altogether. The color holds differently too, as you can see. So let's keep going. Let's get even a darker purple in here. Real deep one. Let's play around a little more. Let's put one of those anemones. Look at that. Great, vibrant purple. Painting one of those anemones behind the rose. And then over here. Look at that. Same paint. But how it plays on the paper. The actual tone of the color of this paint changes. But you don't notice this. This one seems to be more muted in tone. And look, pink came out more on that one. Because there's pink in this paint. And you can kind of see it on this one. It's under there. But you really see it in that one. Isn't that wild? I'll keep playing around a little more. Let's paint those. Now, as I'm painting this, I'm showing you how I take those flowers that I showed you how to paint in a composition. Let's take some of those bluebells. Put them over here. Still holding a lot of water. So in this one, you gotta have less water. So it just stays there. Here are those little bluebells. And I'll paint it on this one. And now you can see why I might have changed my mind about the cold press. It just keeps the color more vibrant. It soaks it up like a sponge, really. And then people would say, well, why would you want hot press over cold press then in the first place? Like I said, it's going to change the color a little bit, the consistency look. Maybe you want a flatter surface. You don't want all these textural surface. You want a flat surface. You don't like the way that looks with the rigids. So we got some flowers put down here. I didn't show a rose, but I showed a rose in another tutorial. You don't have to do the same thing. But you see, it's starting to look a little different. The colors are looking a little bit different, a little off, a little different, how it holds. Just going to put some simple blooms over here. And this pale color. See, the same color just comes out slightly different in the cold press. This is what I think, you know, after a while, I just kind of like, what am I doing with the hot press? Now I bought it again because I wanted to try it again, because I did a lot of paintings with hot press. But it's just a different situation. And if I want to work a lot with wet on wet, I really feel like, so now I'm going to do some wet on wet with the cold press and the hot press. Here's the wet on wet bleed with the hot press. Here's the wet on wet bleed with the cold press. This one's bleeding out more and blending into the other paint. This one is kind of staying still. So this one I kind of actually like better than this one right now. It's staying, and it didn't bleed as much. And this one really bleeds into it. So I think the paper lends itself to really just pushing the paint into it. Let's grab some more paint. Let's do this again. Another bloom. And we'll grab some deeper color. And we'll just dab it in. So it's bleeding, but it's not totally bleeding into the other paint. This is where the hot press is good. So do another bloom over here on the cold press. And let's watch this one bleed again. Just in the tip. See how it's really spreading out? This one did actually though, but it's, yeah, it's a weird spread. It kind of stays. And this one really spider veins out. So I was to say, if you wanted something that was bleeding like this, see how this one's bleeding again? That doesn't bleed a lot. The hot press is really good for that. It's more of a blobby bleed. You see this? And this one spider veins out. Now I'm going to go in and play around with it. I cleaned up my brush. I'm just going to push it out a little bit more. It's very interesting, isn't it? it made like a blob. It made like a blob like that one. Which you can see they have similarities, but slight differences. I mean, well, obviously the biggest difference is that this is textural and this is not. And if you don't want a textural looking, you know, if you're scanning this in, they both can scan in fine, but the consistency would be a little bit different. Put some more little petals over here. Trying to make the paintings almost same. Not that easy. Working on it. And then you just go in and bleed again. Look at that. Let's check out that bleed. Ooh, that one really went wild right there. Now here I like the leaf better than this one. It held that color better than that one did. But again, it's not a smooth bleed. This one has ridges. And see the ridges here and the smooth bleed here. So I'd say if you want a smoother bleed, you might want to go with the cold press. They're pretty much similar in price, brushes. So you're not getting cheaper if you do one or the other. It's just a different way of, I'm going to go back in to this rose. Add some color. I'm going to make another one up here. So I'm also showing you at the same time. I lost some space over here, so I can't do it there. Do a small one over here. Composition. Composition is key to anything, actually. There's different rules people have in composition, like they make things in threes. You're either leaning toward the right or the left, or in the middle, or top and bottom. I'm going to do a tutorial on that coming up, but just for today's purposes, it's going to be simple stuff. And I plan on putting out like a small booklet tutorial on different styles and compositions of flowers and how to use them, how to make palettes, color palettes. My first job out of college was a colorist for children's wear, so I am very familiar with color. So now I'm putting in some of these leaves to show you how the final result will look. So I would say initially that's holding the color better, but the final result isn't in yet. See, this one has the bubbles. You see the bubbles? I don't know if you can see that. You can see the bubbles on the water. This one you cannot. So it all depends on how you like to work. If you can try and get the paper on sale, the hot press you don't really get in Michael's. Sorry, if you're in the United States and you're trying to use the coupon to go Michael's, you kind of don't get that there. You have to kind of order it from an art supply store, unfortunately. I've never seen it in the store, so that's why I'm saying gonna have to order it. Or if you're near an art supply store that carries hot press, then you're good. We have Dick Blick in Boston, so I went in and got some. So I'm just playing around, adding more color. like I said, you can see slight differences. How the color is bleeding. Definitely with the cold press, it blends better. With the hot press, you're getting that look if you want it. Just adding some grass. Do this, you see, okay, here's a huge difference. So I put the grass in, and you can see the ridges. It's not making a smooth line. Put the grass in here, it's making a smooth line. So if you don't want that ridgy look. You want a smooth look. Definitely the hot press is for you. Not everybody likes that textural look. I know on some of my stuff I didn't want that either. Because it's tricky if you're going to put it in Photoshop and use it for an application for whatever you're doing it for. You might have to deal with more cleaning up because of the fact that it will not be a smooth surface, and therefore Photoshop does this thing where it takes it out, and either you're adding it back in or whatnot. So if you wanted to take this in Photoshop and change the color, you can click on that with the magic wand. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but not everybody knows what I'm talking about. It would read it as a flat surface more than this one would, because it would have these ridges on the side. So that's the advantage of that if you're an artist that takes your designs and manipulates it for product or whatever application you need, cards. So going back in, I'm going to add some of the lines, the tulip. So this is what I noticed I'm doing, that I've never done these side by side before. So this is new for me, actually. I'm experimenting with you at the same time. So what I like about it, doing side by side like this, is you can actually plainly see the difference. I found it real interesting that this one with the anemone picked up more of that bright pink that was in the pigment. Don't you think so? I mean, this one did not, and this one totally did. And went, see the difference in the color is amazing. It's really wild. Didn't do that so much in the other ones, but this is the one that I had more of the Dr. P.H. Martin ink color in. So I thought that was very crazy that it did that. I'm just going to fill this in. So I really hope you enjoyed this little explanation on the two types of paper. As I finish this composition. So if you did, please share, like, and subscribe. We're working on some more tutorials on composition coming up and color theory, and I was going to do the unboxing of the palette that I bought that I showed you the other day in my tutorial, but I'll have to do that either tomorrow or the next day because I'm getting ready for a party for my son, and so I don't have time. But anyway, this is the difference between the hot press and the cold press. If you ever wondered what's the difference. So I gave you a live tutorial side by side to show you the difference. So thank you so much for stopping by, and have a great day.